Really?
Oh, there we go.
Welcome, everyone, to the Real Whovians cast, episode 325, Ark in Space Review. I am your host, Matrix. Where's my camera? What the heck? All right. I am your host, Matrix Lord 212. Hello, Brian.
Hello.
All right. What's up, Mike D?
Good evening.
What's up, Beefhead?
Hello.
What's up, Tim?
How are we doing?
All right. So, chose this episode for a few reasons. One, because it's the second episode, Tom Baker, correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Yep.
Because Robot was the first one, right?
Yes, it was.
And it also is it was also a continuing story from this one on. Like the episodes are kind of connected, okay? Which we'll go into that later on. But this, of course, has the Fourth Doctor's second adventure, has Sarah Jane Smith, has Harry, right?
Yep.
Now, we have the TARDIS. We have the TARDIS land on a space station thousands of years into the future, okay? And we find that all the people are in suspended animation. I guess they believed that the Earth, through solar flares, I believe, was going to be uninhabitable for 1,000 years. Or actually, it was supposed to be in suspended animation for 5,000 years, and they wound up. The clock got messed up, and they woke up 10,000 years later.
Well, they were invaded, yeah.
They woke up 5,000 years later, or 10,000 years later.
Well, they overslept because they were invaded.
Yeah.
And it turns out, right, they were invaded by this creature that actually. So anyway, the Doctor, he's investigating what's going on. They find that. There's a creature that was inside that they don't know what happened to it. It's a dead carcass. The woman wakes up, and what was her name? She was Vira?
Vera, yeah. What happens is that
Vera,
the Doctor and the crew stumble upon a circumstance where they don't know what's happened or why, and they wake up this person, and she doesn't know who they are. So they're trying to figure out what the heck happened, because the station was invaded.
They were all chosen genetically. Like they had this strict system that each of them was, I guess, supposed to be the most perfect human beings, that they were chosen for this project to be the ones to bring back mankind.
It's kind of like Space Seed in Star Trek, the Botany Bay crew with Colin.
Well, they're trying to preserve the best of the human race, is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, the best they had to offer.
And they're picked for their ability to reestablish.
So,
plus they were patched up like
now.
Mary.
Noah was the leader.
Yeah.
Right, now Noah was the leader, which they joked around. That wasn't his real name, but they called him Noah after Noah's Ark. And everything was going fine. Well, the problem was Sarah Jane stumbled and got into trouble, and she wound up getting preserved.
She gets
caught
up.
They were trying to figure out how to revive her.
Yeah.
And
Well, when they arrived, they
well, Tim, I'll let you talk about it better. It's a better way to explain it today.
Well, I mean, she gets caught up in the machinery. She gets stuck in another room while the Doctor and Harry trying to figure out the security system, because it attacks them while she's in this other room. Then the door shuts. And she gets stuck in there with no air, and so she gets caught up in the machinery and gets preserved like all these.
Right. Well, that was the whole thing, that they were running out of air.
Yeah, and Harry and
they were running out of air, and he was trying to get the air on. He had to deal with that security device.
Yeah. So they defeat the security device, which is why Harry has no shoes for the rest of the episode. He's walking around in socks, which is cool. And then, so by the time they get to her, though, she's already like part of the system. They have to try to figure out a way to revive her. And I think in the meantime they revive the leader, the then leader, Vera, because
she's
Noah,
the med tech, isn't she?
Yeah. She shows them what to do. I mean, like
yeah, she wasn't the leader. Noah was the leader, but Noah was Noah was immediately a jerk. Noah was a jerk immediately.
No, he's been infected.
He shot the doctor, thinking that he was bad.
Well,
before he was infected, he shot the doctor.
They've overslept for like thousands of years, and so you can't blame him. I mean, he doesn't understand who these people are, or why they're there, and he doesn't even know that they've been invaded before by the Whovian, and he's infected. So
there's a
he gets infected, and then they find out that yes, and it was also the alien had inhabited already one of their crew members while they were sleeping, and they retained all his memories and the best abilities of him. Even though he was dead, they have all his memories. So that way, when they try to absorb Noah, Noah has that knowledge added to his own.
Yeah.
Sort of like the Borg in a way, but but these were like bug creatures, and it was like the best of.
It actually
the person is retained.
Prefigures a lot of what happens. We see a few years later in Alien. I mean, in a lot of ways, it actually precedes that in a. It's almost spooky how Alien takes a lot of those elements and runs with it in a whole different way though, and it's more of a space horror. But I mean, yeah,
right.
You see a lot of similarities there.
Right, but it's funny how they basically stated that these creatures live in space, but then they pointed it out to the doctor that they may live in space, but they do procreate. They do have babies on like on a planet, grounded, and then they go in space and they invade and they do all these different things. But they don't have they don't duplicate in space. They do it like on the planet side. So now that they have well, that's the thing, is that now that they have the intelligence of human beings and they're absorbing the best, they will evolve their species to take over and have a broader design on what the universe is and how they can conquer it, because they keep retaining all the best of the individuals that they absorb.
And they already have axe to grind as well.
The question is, do they retain their humanity? Right, but the question is posed, do they retain their humanity? Now, besides this going on, we got to see different elements of Sarah Jane Smith interacting with Harry, their friendship. Back in the day, it was like they kept joking around about women not having a say or not having any leadership capabilities, and then she becomes, Vira becomes the leader of the whole space station, and Harry was joking around with that. And then the funny line where Sarah Jane says that the doctor talks himself because only he can answer.
Yeah, only he knows what he's talking about. Yeah, that is hilarious. Yeah. I caught that. That was like, really. I don't even remember that line, but it's hilarious. But I mean, the thing about Harry.
Yeah, but I'm
sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say the cool thing about Harry, the cool thing about Harry Sullivan is that he was brought in at a time before they'd cast the Doctor, so they thought they might go with an older guy. I mean, it was up to Philip Hinchcliffe, and they thought they might go with it, and they chose Tom Baker, who was not young but 40 and athletic, and so he became kind of a redundant character. They brought him in to be the muscle guy, kind of like an Ian Chesterton kind of person, and it's sad that they wrote him out when they did at the end of that season, or the beginning of the next. I mean, it's just because he was cool. I mean, he brought a whole new dynamic to the whole Dr. Sarah Harry kind of thing. I mean, it was really cool, and you see a lot of that in Ark in Space, and in the episodes following it. But they ended up deciding that they didn't really need him, and it was better just to go with Tom Baker and Liz Sladen.
Yeah, and Harry was more of also a bit more of a comic relief as well.
Yeah.
I was going to say Ian Marter actually wrote the novelization for Ark in Space for Target Books, and he actually can be seen in a earlier episode playing a different character in Carnival of Monsters, the Pertwee era episode. But I was reading that they were originally going to do the episode with Barry Letts doing the production of it, or the producer. And this was the first official story that Philip Hinchcliffe took over,
Yeah.
When they started adding a little bit more of an adult feel to it to give it more of a sort of gothic horror sort of quality.
Well, yeah, because Robot was actually shot at the end of the previous season with Pertwee, with Barry Letts and Terrence Sticks still running the show. And this one was actually the first one that Hinchcliffe actually had his hands on.
And it originally was going to be titled Space Station, I believe. So not too much of a difference in the title, but Ark in Space, Space Station. This was actually one of the first episodes of Doctor Who I ever saw, and it's quite interesting to say the least.
Well, I think it's cool how you can tell that when you watch it that Tom Baker is still new at the part. He's still finding his way, even though he's brilliant. He's awesome in it. But I mean, you can tell this is early Tom Baker compared to if you watch something later, like Horns of Nimon or something. You would know that this is way later in the career. So I mean, you get that feel when you watch it. This is new. This is all new. It's really good though. It's really good. Really good. With the companions, it's just a brilliant story. And it like Joe was saying, when we started, is that this is a linked season. I mean, they go from this one into the next series, which is with the Centaurans. They go down to the planet, which we've already talked about in this episode, which has been, messed up from whatever the solar flares, but it's habitable now. And then they go from there to the genesis of the Daleks. And they don't use the TARDIS all season. They don't get the TARDIS back until they go back to the Ark with the Cybermen, I guess. So because they use a time ring to move from those two stories. So it is a linked season, which is really an interesting experiment at the time, which actually works pretty well.
Yeah, and this is where we get the classic quote by Tom Baker's Doctor, "Homo sapiens, what an inventive, invincible species. It's only been a few million years since they crawled up out of the mud and learned to walk. Puny, defenseless bipeds. They've survived flood, famine, and plague. They've survived cosmic wars and holocausts. And now here they are, out among the stars, waiting to begin a life anew.
That's
ready
cool.
to outsit eternity. They're indomitable. Indomitable."
He's proud of them because that's his favorite planet.
Yeah. He is. He says it's his favorite planet. And like I said in the previous cast, when I was a kid, I didn't realize it because but he said that Nostradamus, Madame Nostradamus, meaning Nostradamus' wife, had made him the scarf.
Yeah.
And how he's like, there's only one of its kind. Like he got his scarf like blasted or whatever, and he's like, it's destroyed, but he still wore it. And Nostradamus, we know who Nostradamus is in history, that he predicted all the futuristic events. So that was a cool thing for me to watch that after so many years and say, hey, wait a minute, now I'm not a kid anymore when I see those episodes, and I know who Nostradamus is. Nostradamus' wife made the scarf, so that was pretty cool. It was really cool.
And the Whovians were actually.
But yeah, these stories get deep. They really get. Yeah, dude.
I
think we're having a problem with audio, right? Are we out of sync or
got a lag?
There's a slight delay. I was just going to say that the Whovians are a very.
Why don't everybody drop out and come back in?
We can
Maybe everybody should drop out and come back in. Yeah, let's do that because I don't want the podcast to get scrapped.
Okay.
Just pop out and pop in. I think even my picture keeps zapping in there too. What about you, Mike D? You okay? Or?
I think I'm fine. Like, are you hearing me fine on your end?
Yes, I am.
Problem. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Beefhead? Okay, Tim, you alright?
Not a problem whatsoever.
Alright, Tim, you okay? Yeah?
Yeah, I'm good.
Alright,
I would like to know what Mr. Beefhead has to say, though, because he kind of got cut off because of the delay earlier.
Well, no,
yeah.
It was very reminiscent as well. It was something that I've spoken to you guys about privately. Is that obviously it's the second story of a new Doctor as well. We're coming off the back of Pertwee, and that they went for what was like a darker feel, and more of a gothic feel. They looked to sort of with certainly some of the later Baker stuff. They went for a sort of Hammer sort of horror type feel to it as well.
Yeah, they did.
And I was saying to the guys that watching it back, it reminded me of an old, I think it was 50s Hammer film, which was the Quatermass experiment, which is where you get an astronaut come back with space with a sort of like an alien parasite, which then takes over his arm, and you've got a very similar sort of claw arm to it that you see Noah have to it, and you've got the idea of who's in control, fighting for control of. Is it the man? Is it the monster? To be honest with you.
But this was very thought out. This episode. This was very intellectually written. I feel.
Yeah.
Because if you really watch this episode, you could see things in this episode in other series that they took this, they took that, they took this, and you can say, wow, it's just amazing. I mean, even though we know like Star Trek Next Generation, we know the Borg, right? But that's what this creature was absorbing the best abilities of that race and retaining it. And then just imagine. I know, but well, it's not just a parasite in the sense that it absorbs the host and keeps absorbing. It retains the memories and the abilities. So it retained that crew member, and then when it was absorbing Noah had that knowledge. So if it keeps absorbing people, eventually you get a perfect intellectual, creature, being that could become the greatest threat. And of course, with the Borg and Next Generation, they kept assimilating people, and they kept changing it, where every time they went to shoot it, they had to use different setting, they had to do a different way to shoot the Borg, because it wouldn't work after a while, the way they would defeat them. So I felt like...
At the end of the day, Star Trek gets all its best ideas from Doctor Who, doesn't it?
It's possible. but
without admitting it, they won't admit it, but I mean, yeah.
But also you have Tom Baker, who is freshly regenerated, and he's like, oh, I could use my brain as a transceiver, and I'm like, won't that kill you? And it's like, yeah, but so what? It's like, oh my, I didn't even care, and it's like, and then like he got shot, and then he wakes up, and he's like, oh, I remember, he blessed me. And he's
I was in the middle of a sentence, yeah.
And he was so cool with it, like he's like, oh, he's so superior, like I'm alive, and I'm not worried about hurting the guy, I'm worried about the guy's health.
It has to be said, it's amazing they just picked this guy up off of a fucking construction site and made him the doctor. And how good is he? I mean, he's brilliant. And the guy would be on the show for 7 more seasons. I mean, 7 more years he would do this thing. I mean, he wasn't a nobody. I mean, he'd done films. He'd been in Sinbad, and he'd been Rasputin, and he'd done some Pasolini films or whatever. But I mean, at the end of the day, though, this guy was kind of a nobody. They brought him in. They shook the dice, took a gamble, and how brilliant is he?
Oh
from this one on, I mean, he's just like so good,
Right.
Like the speech that Mike just recited so eloquently, just he's so good.
But it's so unique. Like, here it is, he got shot, and the first thing he's worried about is that the guy's in danger. Like, he don't know better. Like, that's like alienistic compared to the human side of it, where he's like, oh, he shot me, but is he okay? It's like, whoa. And then, like, he can breathe without oxygen, but they can't.
Yeah, but I mean, that's why Tom Baker was so brilliant with his portrayal, though, because even though I'm a Pertwee guy, Hartnell was kind of the irascible one. Troughton was kind of the whimsical, clownish hobo. Pertwee was the action guy. Tom Baker was really the first one to bring like a real alien quality.
Alien.
Yeah. Alien hippie, really, pretty much.
Yeah.
Bohemian.
Or hipster, yeah.
Bohemian.
And the greatest thing was repeated in other episodes where he's screaming at Sarah Jane Smith, what a loser you are. We just lost everything because of you. You're stuck in this airlock. You ruined everything. And she's like...
You're just a secretary.
Right. But the thing is, he got her so pissed.
Yeah.
That he got that feminine anger that she was, I'm going to get out of there. I'm going to beat the living crap out of you.
Well, because she was trying to do the job for them, and she was starting to panic because she's like locked in a little triangle. Right. And she's doing her best, but so he had to like say, you know what, you're worthless, girl.
Yeah, that was great.
Get on with it.
Got out. She went like, and he said, "Oh, it worked." And she's like, "Oh, but
you brute."
Right. But you see, like Sarah Jane, like when she gets into trouble, she's like panicking, like I can't breathe, and like stuff and different things, and it's like,
Yeah.
But that's
awesome acting.
I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you sometimes what you need to hear.
Yeah. And you have to understand that this was the new version of her friend, because in Robot she avoids the new Doctor for a long time. She doesn't hang out with him. It's only at the end of the episode when he invites her, "Hey, let's go. You want a jelly baby?" And she's like, "All right, okay." Because it's true. She was uncomfortable with the whole switch. If you go back and watch Robot,
nice. There you go.
Yep.
I mean, it's true. She's on a learning curve with this guy, because it takes her a minute to realize, hey, this guy is cool. Yeah. I think that's what we're going to see this.
And she was very much, when you see her last episode with him, she was like really, I would say in love with him, because that was her whole world.
That's what my mom told me when we used to watch it. And I was like, nah, Mom, he doesn't do that. And she's like, no, this girl loves him.
But the funny thing was the thing that I really liked was when we got to David Tennant and he did School Reunion. He's hurt. Like, he sees her and he's like you get the impression like, oh my God, even though he was all tough exterior and everything as Fourth Doctor, as he loved her, and it's like, he's like, oh my God, Sarah Jane, and it's like, I love that they captured that with David Tennant.
I love that whole scene because it's like a horror movie. I mean, she sees the box, the TARDIS, and then she's like,
deathly
like, oh my
scared.
God. As the audience, we're just like, oh my God, it is. I mean, even though they've already kind of met, I think, but I mean, she sees the box, and then she's like, oh,
her face
dropped.
Wow. Her face dropped.
And then he steps out of the shadows. It's really like a horror movie. It's really cool.
But her face dropped like her world ended. But then it didn't, because it's like, but it's also, she didn't want him to see her get old, and it's like, well, now he's young. I mean, come on. But anyway, going back to Ark in Space. All right, back then special effects were like blah for everything, really. But the story made up for it. That's the whole.
It does make up for it. And I think we should mention now that Graham, our buddy our absent friend that wasn't able to make it this evening because it's very late where he's at, has an issue with the bubble wrap. And watching it back, he was like, I can't get past the fact that it's bubble wrap. And I explained to him, and he knows this. I mean, he's been around. That back in 1973 or 74, bubble wrap wasn't an everyday phenomenon you ran into. So when they used this to make special effects, I'm sure it legitimately scared whoever was watching it at the time, children or whatever. So yeah, you watch it back today, you go, oh my God, it's bubble wrap. But it works. It does work. I mean, yeah, it's spray painted bubble wrap, but I mean, it does work. I mean, it's an awesome story. It's an awesome story.
I mean, it's like Alien, but without it being scary. But then
it is scary though.
Later,
if you can put yourself in that
back then, right? But then years later, you have something that's really scary, like Alien, and it's like you think maybe they got it from this. You don't know.
Like bits of it borrowed, yeah.
I'm sure. But like I said, another thing with this episode was you find out in the end that Noah's humanity conquered all, and he sacrificed that race to get them onto the rocket.
Yeah, they had that last bit left.
And killed them. But the best thing was, it didn't end there. It didn't end where they went to TARDIS and went back to their life. No, they had to do another mission, helping them out. And he didn't. The doctor, he's like, oh yeah. Before it was always, I can't leave TARDIS, can't leave TARDIS. TARDIS over there, he's like, oh, he could have took the TARDIS. He could have took the TARDIS. And he's like, no, we're just gonna get your coat. We're gonna use the transmat thing. We're gonna go down.
Put some shoes on, Harry.
Yeah.
And it was a thing where he would always find a way to get back to the TARDIS because he just was of the mind where I'll just get it done. There was no fear, oh my God, I lost my TARDIS. Years later in New Who, it's like, oh my God, the TARDIS is gone. We're on this impossible planet. And the Rose is like, I guess we'll have to settle down and everything. And but like now, it's like he didn't have to worry. He never had to worry because he knew. I'm so smart I could figure out a way back to the TARDIS or something happened.
Well, he was fearless because the thing is, already he's starting off.
Fearless is the perfect word.
He just got into a new regeneration, and he was already ready to sacrifice himself to release the rocket and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't. Yeah. It was the chief engineer tech who said, "No, you're needed more than this," and knocks him out. They think he's dead. To be honest with you.
Right. But not only was he fearless, he was confident. He was always confident. Okay.
It is cool that...
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say it's cool that... I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
No, actually, you were talking on my end before me. I'll wait.
Well, I was going to say that when they went down behind the scenes to the next episode, this season was filmed wildly out of order, even though stories are connected. Tom Baker broke his collarbone doing a fight scene with Santaran.
Which we're going to... I think what we do is, I think the best thing to do here is we should go in order. From Ark in Space, we go to the next episode. I think for the next pod, the next time we do it.
My point is, though, that he had been so recently hired for the job, he was actually worried they were going to let him go. Because he thought, you know what, we've only filmed one other serial, and we're in the middle of this one. And I don't know if that wasn't the first one he filmed. It could be. But it's just like he was thinking, and they said, no. You take a couple of weeks off, and we'll get back on the job, Which is good. Which is brilliant. Because how tragic would that have been if they had to replace the guy?
That's terrible.
And this is the guy that brought us all into it. Really, like 30 years.
He was my doctor.
Yeah.
He just, like when I, as a young child, you're raised, okay, there's different things in society. But when I saw this, I just didn't understand. This guy, why in the desert with the pyramids? Why the hell is he wearing the scarf in that heat? And he's talking like that. He was talking like that, and people
and the fedora.
were just like, no, but people were listening to him like he could basically just his words. People were like, oh, crap.
He could read the phone book at you, and you'd love it.
No, but people would be afraid just because oh, what is he gonna do now? He could just lead an army. That's what you got with the 11th Doctor, where he created an army. Like the 4th Doctor could have done that. Like he was just that damn good. With words, people were just afraid of him sometimes.
You had that wild-eyed sort of manic look that sort of gave him the feel that he actually wasn't human, that he was more alien as well. So yeah.
But he knew what he was doing.
Right.
Yeah.
And people put a gun in him. He wasn't even upset. Like if different things happened, he was just like loving it.
What do you think, Brian?
I love the serial story of it. I thought it was like one of the best of Tom Baker's era. And the story, it did kind of remind me of Aliens.
Sure.
Cool. Was the bubble wrap disturbing, or was it okay with you? Was that an okay thing? Since it was 1973 or 4, or did you just pull you out of it?
Well, with the classic Who with me, I think that special effects are just easy.
I like the guns where it opens up, looks like a flower, and it's like,
yeah,
it's like that was pretty cool. But I say it was very eloquently done. Like they really got the history down pat, the story, like about the future history, made you interested in where they're going to go next. Why are they not taking the daughters? It was really, I loved it. And like I said, this is a great. I think the best thing to do, instead of jumping around, I think we should continue. And just go straight through. And you got to think that maybe these guys like Moffat and Rusty Davis looked at these stories and said, okay.
Oh, of course they did. They're fans.
Yeah. You feel the claustrophobia in it as well, so it does work in that respect as well.
So
it's kind of
well, go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say the Space Station Nerva season.
Now Harry never had an ending, right? He just didn't appear one.
Harry disappeared in Terror of the Zygons, right?
Yeah, well, he elects not to go with him at the end of it, and then he returns for one more appearance in the android invasion, which I think he's actually not him, but
it's not really him. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, they decided to write him out because they felt like, okay, we've hired this, not youngish, but this doctor can take care of. He doesn't need muscle. So it's better just to revert back to the doctor and a girl, which is usually the best formula anyway, isn't it? Just the doctor and a girl.
Right.
But I'd like to point out that you can see immediately with this story, following Robot, an immediate change in direction for the show. I mean, like Tim was saying, it's definitely you cannot see John Pertwee doing this episode at all, because it's so different from what has come before, and they continue to go down this route with stuff like the Brain of Morbius and the Pyramids of Mars, and it's just it's awesome until it gets cut short just because of some stupid woman in England that can't hang with it. So
Mary Whitehouse.
Yeah, that's just another story for another day, I guess.
Hey, Mary Whitehouse. This is for you, Mary Whitehouse.
Yeah. Don't worry, she's dead.
She's dead. And she'll no longer be shocked by that.
Yeah.
All right, so.
And Ian, let's talk about Ian Marter a little bit more. Ian, I know we kind of talked about this earlier, but I really liked Harry's character. I thought it was kind of cool that they actually had him just leave, like kind of before he got kind of in the part, and people got tired of seeing that character. But Ian Marter actually died prematurely. He was in a car accident in 1986.
No, I thought he died of a heart attack.
Or a heart attack. Maybe it was a heart attack. Oh, I'm thinking of Delgado. You're right. Yeah, thank you.
Delgado, yeah.
But in regard to the episode, he starts off as a bit of a bumbler. He pushes buttons, and by the end of it, he's fully composted and sort of picking up on how to revive everyone as well.
Right.
So he starts to prove himself of worth and everything like that as well. So
he's like a guy that wants to do the best he can, but he's out of his element.
Yeah.
So I mean,
he's punching above his weight. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, like in the Cybermen, when he's just, I mean, the Doctor even shouts, "Harry Sullivan is an imbecile," because
famous line.
Yeah, famous line, because I mean, he tries so hard, but he just can't. He can't.
What's it he says in this episode about him being a Navy doctor as well? He digs him out about being, he's a doctor, but he's a naval doctor, so he's not really count.
Yeah, I mean, even the Doctor ribs him in Robot, like, "Don't you mean the infirmary?"
Yeah.
Because he's saying sick bay, and he's like, "Don't you mean the infirmary?" You're like the Doctor's already messing with his head.
Right.
But he's a brilliant companion. He's awesome. I mean, he really prefigures pretty much what Rory does so many years later. I mean, being a likable guy, that is with them. He does his best, but he's a bumbler. I mean, he just doesn't. He's never that effective.
You know what I think? Another thing that appeals to the Fourth Doctor's adventures is that he really had strong companions, and they were very different. I mean, Romana, the Key to Time saga, Leela. I mean, it's just, and then later on you throw in Adric and
Well, in spite of Tom Baker's best efforts, they kept throwing these awesome women at him. Pretty much. I mean, he famously never got along with Louise Jameson as Leela until the past couple of years, and then and that's a whole other story for another day. But I mean, and then Mary Tam was cool, but she, what? How many times can you say, "What is it, doctor?" or "What, doctor?" or "What?"
Yeah.
So I mean, she said, "I'm out of here," and then they gave him Lala Ward, which he married. So cool.
Yeah. And you can see the chemistry with those two back in the day.
Yeah.
Who's Leela?
Check it out on Google, Brian.
Yeah, we'll educate you.
I was reading a little bit more about Ian Marter, but Tim was correct about this. He died suddenly in his home in 1986 on his 42nd birthday. Birthday.
Horrible.
He had a heart attack triggered by complications of diabetes.
Yeah. And you're right, he did write a lot of novelizations. I mean, he's one of the more, he would really expand on them and make them into something other than they were. I remember reading a couple of those when I used to read the Targets, when I was younger, and that was all we had. Right. And I would say, wow, this guy really goes off. I mean, he would make like a series. I mean, compared to the Terrence Dicks books, I mean, this guy would really make it into a novel, where Terrence would just be like, okay, the doctor does this and blah, 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 and Sarah wants some French fries or something, or, chips. So.
Brian, you're very quiet. You gotta contribute a little bit.
Brian's he's just really thinking about how ticked off he is about Mary Whitehouse.
I'm sure.
He just doesn't know what to say about it.
I don't know what else to say. I mean, I haven't seen the story in a while.
Okay. So what are we going to do? The Centauran experiment? That's going to be the next one?
That should be a short one, too. That's only like an hour long, right?
2 parts, yeah.
Right. And then we'll do the... let's go in order.
Yeah, why not?
Right.
Well, that brings you right into Genesis of the Daleks, which was, I think, number 3 on the list of best Doctor Who episodes ever. In recent.
I got Genesis of the Daleks.
And everybody knows it's good.
And actually, Genesis of the Daleks, that was my first Doctor Who story that I ever saw of Classic Who.
Right. How about we do this? We'll go in order, and eventually we'll do an extra episode with Robot. We'll just throw it in. We'll just go. Let's just do Tom Baker. This is my favorite anyway. We'll just go.
Yeah.
Oh, let's just skip John Pertwee. What the hell?
No, listen. Listen, there's plenty of time till August. Okay? We can do it every week, or we can do 2 a week, or 3 a week, whatever, and let's just bang them out. You know? Title, Real Whovians, do episode, we'll do news, and that's it. And we just thought,
well, I mean,
you know what it is? I'm here.
Yeah, the key to time, we could watch like the whole thing over a weekend or something, and do one show over the whole thing.
Right. See, the whole thing is this. I know a lot of people been upset that we haven't had a lot of Real Whovians cast, and I apologize for that. That's my fault entirely because, I do work, and I've been working a lot of hours, and sometimes I get home it's really late. But I am going to make an effort to throw at you so many friggin' Real Whovians casts that before Doctor Who comes back on the air, you'll have episode 400. So we are going to bang them out, and we're going to do the news, we're going to do classic episodes, we're going to do audios. So the Real Whovians cast is going to be all over the place, as well as with the launch of the website, where you can have every episode to watch on the websites in the summer. So I'm really going to do that. And also the Everything Show is going to have a website as well. And we're going to have, it's going to reach over 200 episodes.
Guests.
Yes, it's going to be over 200 episodes before August, too. So stay tuned, check us out, subscribe, please subscribe to Matrix Lore 2 and 2, and check out all my friends on all their shows, on all their channels, and check out all the Doctor Who sites that we're a part of. All right. And other than that, you'll see us again for more Doctor Who news, probably in a couple of days, maybe tomorrow. Who knows? Who knows? And Centauran experiment. That'll be the next homework assignment.
Let's do it.
All right, we're doing it, man.
Bring on the potato heads.
That's right, man. That's it. Take care. Bye for now.